Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. Bradley.
Jonathan.
I know what we're like, so I'm going to make the news announcement first, and then we're going to dig into what happened on Wednesday.
Bloody spoil sport. Go on then.
So the important thing to take from this podcast, other than the fact that we're multi-award winning, is that next Friday, that is absolute last minute, we are hosting a live show live from our podcast sponsors, the Malt Miller, to announce the winner of our homebrew competition, which we've been hosting with them, Asahi/Meantime and Charles Ferrum.
Nice.
We will be announcing that winner having done the judging that day. And we will also be taking questions on homebrewing on the channel generally, and getting to know the Malt Miller guys because they've never been on the channel, I don't think.
They must have been on the channel. You've definitely done videos.
Oh, no, of course they
them.
have. No, of course. I just remembered, we did a little series of homebrewing tips. So they have been on the channel, but we're going to get to know them a little bit better. And also, I mean, we'll have been judging beer all day, so it should be an interesting one. And you can buy a little pack of IPAs that we'll be drinking throughout the show from Malt Miller, and the link is in the descriptions below. So do join us 8 p.m. next Friday on our YouTube channel.
That's Friday the 2nd of December. If
Friday
you're
the 2nd
watching
of
this
December.
out of order. There you go, guys.
Yeah. What's the podcast equivalent of Dave?
Podcast equivalent of days? What do you mean?
Well, like the one where everyone watches it like 6 months later after they bought the rights to it.
Oh, I have no idea. No idea. Oh,
exists.
Dave. Did you say Dave? I thought you said
Dave.
days. I thought you were saying days. I was like, there's no different metric for podcast. They're just dead days. But Dave, what are you saying? Are you saying this content is so good that like an organisation like
sharp
Dave
banter
is going to buy it? That's amazing.
No, I was thinking, the thing we say on the channel is, if you're watching this on Dave,
I see.
which they say on the BBC quite often, it's a tortured gag at the best of times, and right now you're making me work even harder for it. Let's move swiftly on. So yeah, this has been a rather big week for the Craft Beer channel, hasn't it?
It's not been bad. We started it drinking lots of lovely Italian pilsners, and then we ended it just absolutely smashing up the Guild of British Beer Writers Awards. It's triumphant, Johnny. You pretty much wiped the floor clean. We won best video, best video communicators. Yep. You won what? Journalist of the Year, Book of the Year.
Yep. Writer of the Year.
Writer of the Year.
And I won best book and best writing about pubs.
Mate, it was pretty special.
And to think you nearly didn't come. You were a last minute addition to the party, and what a party you'd have missed.
I'm always pretty anxious about these things. I'm not really a suit and tie kind of guy. So
I don't think anybody was there. I don't think.
No.
Well, I saw a couple of suits, but it's weird. It's like the event is held at 1 George Street, which is a super swanky thing just around the corner from the Houses of Parliament. But then it's a bunch of bearded nerds go and backslap for a bit. So yeah, I'm not quite sure the venue's exactly representative of the people, the beer, the anything. But it's nice to pretend you fancy for a second.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all I can describe the building and the sort of venue as looking like was like a scene from Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut, but with with 0 people naked or shagging. But like a massively opulent, marble-clad, Victorian grandeur, like kind of wood-panelled rooms, painted ceilings in banqueting halls with giant crystal chandeliers. It was pretty nuts, man. That's a crazy venue for a couple of guys that basically film in a garden shed on a semi-weekly basis. I know, but we have.
How dare you besmirch the Brudio?
Dude,
it's got Victorian grandeur.
It has got Victorian grandeur.
And occasionally naked people. No, wait.
Well, hang on a minute. Yeah, it was a pleasure, wasn't it? It was pretty amazing. Felt very special. I'm quite shy, but going up on stage was nice. We had Pete Brown up there giving us lovely smiles, and it was nice to feel loved for an evening.
I don't know whether it was on purpose, but usually the Beer Writer of the Year gives a speech, and there was at no point was that opportunity offered to me, which was it was a bit of a relief to me.
He cut you down. Maybe he was doing it because he didn't want to share the limelight. Or maybe
it was that classic Pete Brown.
He just loves it. He's a microphone hog.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, once he's up there. The reason I'm bringing that up is because I didn't get to thank people, so I wanted to use the podcast to thank the people that helped make it possible. Other than you, Brad, of course, I would have thanked.
Yeah, thank you.
But also Asahi and Meantime and Fuller's for the amazing help, because the awards that we won, the video awards, were mostly Keep Cask Alive, and our Guinness one actually. So we need to obviously thank Anne's Batch and Hob Day, and then also the Malt Miller for sponsoring our podcast and for being such an incredible source of information, both for homebrew and just for beer generally. And a special shout out to Shoma at Asahi, who has made all our wildest dreams come true in terms of the content we've been able to make. So we did get to thank people, and then obviously we were just at the bar for the rest of the evening. Which was good.
It was great. What are you going to?
I should also say that Andy Parker, Elusive, one of our Patreons, also won Brewer of the Year, which was incredibly exciting and richly deserved, both for his beers and for who he is as a beacon and what's the word? An icon? No, he inspires people and gives people a lot of advice. What's the word for that?
Just an all-round good chap. He started as a home brewer, right?
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
So he's like an inspiration. He's an inspiration.
He is
to
an
many,
inspiration.
Right? He's kind of like you can start anywhere, and you can get to the tippy top, the heights of best brewer from starting from home brewing. That's incredible, isn't it? What a journey!
That's voted for by the guild. So all the guild members vote for their brewer of the year. So it's some would say the creme de la creme of beer writing in the UK. I was trying to think of the wet foam of beer writers. So it really does mean something.
Yeah, beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
What are you gonna spend your winnings on, Johnny? I'm eyeing up an e-bike in the Black Friday sales. I'm thinking that might be a good little.
How much is an e-bike?
Well, there's one. It's 800 quid in the sales. I know I haven't got 800 quid when you halve my winnings, but I was like, maybe I can justify that to my girlfriend. You can fit 2 people on it, Johnny.
Okay. Now she's listening.
We always laugh at people on tandem bikes, but a dream that she has is to sort of get ridden around on a bike. She always points at little dogs and little animals in baskets and says, "I want."
You're going to put her in the basket on the front.
It's got like a 1-up seat on the back of it. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
So I'm looking at that, thinking, "Oh, that looks pretty tasty." So maybe, or maybe I'll just sort of get my roof repaired, which would be a more sensible thing to do.
I was just thinking, I think mine's just going to go into my daughter's bank account, but
nice.
Maybe the roof is more sensible.
Yeah. What does she need? She doesn't need it, Johnny. She won't even know. She's so young. I think we should both buy e-bikes, right? Because they're great for the planet. You've already got like an e-car. You need an e-bike.
Well, I have a hybrid. Yeah, it's not. I'm not sure well, I mean, I guess it does do the pedaling for you. So in that regard, it is an e-car. But yeah. Well, we could both get e-bikes, and then we could do that trip around Italy we talked about in the video this week on e-bikes.
Well, I think potentially, right, an e-bike that's the perfect pub bike, surely, isn't it? Because you can have a few beers. I don't want to actually say what I was going to say. You can have a few beers and then ride your e-bike home and not
you can
get in trouble. Maybe, I don't know. Obviously, you can't be drunk in charge of a bicycle either. But it seems.
I feel like in Italy you probably can.
Yeah. Oh, we're in Italy now. We're taking the e-bikes to Italy. This
is
great.
Yeah. The Italian Pilsner road trip was very much in Italy.
Holy Christ.
Yeah, in the UK, there's only about 4 breweries and they'd be 500 miles apart.
Well, the range is about 40 miles on it, Johnny. So can we...
40?
Yeah, it's not very good, is it? Actually,
what?
Thinking about
That's terrible.
That's why it's £800, Johnny. It's not...
Oh, right, I see.
It's not like a hot... have you looked how expensive e-bikes are? 800 quid's a bargain. It's called a rad runner, which is basically one letter away from Brad Runner.
Yeah,
which I do
you
like.
Need to paint that on. Yeah,
right. I just got put a little B in front of the rad.
Well, hopefully they're listening, and now you're going to get a free rad runner, and they'll personalise it for you.
Oh, that'd be.
That happens to other podcasters. I don't think it's going to happen to us. I want to spin you. I want to do a Brad and spin you a little anecdote.
Do it.
So you said you can have a couple of beers and enjoy yourself, which is so I did back when I had any level of fitness. I used to go on big long cycle tours, and we cycled. So we cycled down to the south coast of France over 2 weeks, and then we cycled the next year. We went back and we cycled from where we left off, Montpellier, and cycled through into Italy and down a bit through Italy. And there was one night where one of the three of us got food poisoning, actually at a tap room.
Oh,
I'm not going to say the brewery because we're not 100% sure it was from them, but it probably was. And so we arrived. He got through the cycle day, cycled 100 miles with food poisoning, which was epic. I didn't cycle behind him much, and and so we got to the campsite, and he was like, "Well, I'm going to bed," and we were like, "Okay, well, we need to go get some food." So we cycled off to the local town, which we didn't realize was about 200 meters lower than where we were. So we were like, oh, sweet, just rolling downhill down the hills. Baby. And we got to the shop and we did the food shopping, and we realized, of course, we then had to cycle 200 meters up. Cool. So we were like, I'm starving. We'll stop off at this bar. We'll have a quick sip of a beer, and because it was aperitivo hour, we'll get some food with it.
Nice.
4 or 5 beers later... the guilt at leaving our friend behind with food poisoning and indeed no food got to us. So then we cycled probably about 3 kilometers and about 200 meters up on 5 pints.
Oof.
And I came within a whisker of vomiting halfway up.
Wow.
And I think as a young man, that was a real low point for me. Abandoned a friend with food poisoning, got drunk, and then had to stop off for a second on the ride home. So don't drink and cycle is the moral.
Well, I mean, what were you really going to do? If he'd stayed at the campsite, were you going to mop his brow? Were you going to give him a cuddle in his little tent?
Yeah, I've done both those things. I'm a very good friend.
I'm guessing they're one-man tents, though. These are ultra light cycle tents, presumably.
Oh no, we were in a 3-man tent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was no privacy.
You're a bad friend. Oh, yeah. I was thinking you were all in your own little worlds, but if you're in
you don't want to carry 3 tents if you're cycling. You have one tent for efficiency, and you split that tent between you, and you fight over who's got the poles this time.
I see.
Yeah.
So how long are the poles? Are we talking jousting length? Are you sort of jousting as you're riding, or
they were the classic fold up with a bit of elastic inside.
Nice.
But they're definitely the heaviest part of it.
Yeah. Wow. And the near vomiting, was that from overexertion going up a hill?
Yeah, I mean, if you have 5 pints and quite a lot of
food,
carbohydrate based aperitivo food, and then immediately cycle. I can't tell you how heavily that weighs, especially with the guilt piling in on top of it. You know.
Oh man, the beer fear potentially setting in early as you're overexerting yourself. And
I should also say we also bought a load of bottles to take away. So they were where you'd usually have your water bottles. We had bottles of beer and wine.
Lads on tour, mate. This sounds epic.
Tour, yeah.
Blimey.
Yeah, so we can do that with e-bikes, and we'll make it up the hill, but we won't make it through the days because you can only go 40 miles.
We need to charge them somewhere for like 6 hours or something. Is that possible,
God.
Johnny? What do you reckon?
We'd be staying in hotels. We'll be blowing the rest of our prize money on hotels that will let us plug in our bikes.
Boom. All right, I'm in. Let's do it. So what else, Johnny? What else? I went to Domestock.
You did?
Last Friday after the podcast, which was pretty
How
epic.
was the domage?
Oh, mate, so much domage. Like, Anspach Hob Day, loved those guys. Obviously, London Black is incredible. If you can get there to drink it, or, you don't even have to go there anymore. Check out their map on their site, which has got all the venues nationwide. Has it gone international yet? I don't think it has, but it's certainly national on a big scale now, isn't it? You can see all of the places pop up where they're serving
over 100 independent venues.
Wow, it's pretty epic. I mean, when we made that video with them back, 6 months ago or less, summertime, wasn't it?
February and April. We filmed the two shoot days on. Yeah,
they had nowhere near that number. They've absolutely exploded, Johnny, and it's 100% down to our video. It's not how amazing the beer is.
Nope.
It's not how good the marketing is.
Not the hard work of the salespeople.
It's not the hard work
of the brewing. Yeah.
No. It's our video that we made has absolutely turned their fortunes around.
At least that's what our pitch to other companies will say. Should we want to do more sponsored content? I got chatting to Jack at the Guild dinner. And he said that London Black is now 75% of what they make.
I know.
How crazy is that?
It's amazing. I think he said the day after the awards.
Come on, Bradley.
Was potentially.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the day after the video.
No. Day after the awards was I think the first day they were not brewing London Black, in like several weeks or something.
Wow.
That's their schedule at the moment. Is just banging it out to keep up with demand, and they can't. I don't think they can even keep up with demand. And they've also just got a brand new fermenters and stuff. I think like they've expanded a fair bit over.
Yeah, off of the back of their crowdfund. Yeah.
Sorry, got to tick.
Amazing times to be Anspach or Hob Day.
Yeah, super nice guys as well.
Definitely.
So that was great. I drank all sorts of would you call it nitrogenated, or is it just nitrous?
I reckon so. And while we're on the topic of how you pronounce it, is it domage or domage?
Domage.
I want to call it domage. I think it will make us sound smarter, more sophisticated.
Well, it makes it sound more French, like fromage.
Or more French. Yeah, I guess that. Yeah, that's what I meant. It was a shortcut to sophisticated / French.
I like it. I called it.
Also, then Guinness Guru might not sue us.
No, exactly. He can't sue us anyway. He can't sue us. He doesn't own the word domage. He might have popularised it. Is it not a word? I suppose maybe he's coined the phrase.
I don't think so. Maybe it's an architectural term for, look at the domage on St Paul's.
Look at the domage on that dome at St Paul's. Yeah, it could be. I've got an architect friend, Tommy. I'll ask him about domage.
Yeah, please do.
It was great. I had all sorts of nitrogen beers from all around. Some from, I think, where was it from? Antwerp or somewhere? From Doc Brewery.
Yeah.
That was great. I had stuff from Left Hand all the way from Colorado. They even flew over for it. It was very impressive. Very, very impressed by those guys. They are, I believe, the sort of Mac Daddies of nitrogen stouts and stuff in America. So this is the first Nitro Fest in the UK. So they flew over especially for it, which I thought was pretty awesome of them.
I think they invented like the idea of the hard pour as well, possibly.
We did some hard pouring that night as well.
Yeah.
Of like Siren stuff.
Hard pouring, for anybody that doesn't know, is where you literally just tip the bottle upside down in the glass and let it flow.
I was trying to persuade Jack that they needed to bring it out in nitrogen cans.
You're not alone.
To hard pour it, and we were pouring it. We were pouring different stuff out of hard pours to work out if it was good enough. The head on the hard pour that we achieved after being quite pissed had some big bubbles in it, Johnny. Lots of nice, small, pleasant bubbles, but then a few big bubbles that kind of upset the apple cart a little bit for me. And I was like, it doesn't look quite as beautiful as...
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is about the look.
It's the look, right?
The domage is purely look, but it is important.
Yeah, big time. But that was a great event. Beautiful stuff. But this week, we drank some great beers, didn't we, Johnny, this week? Filming and at the awards.
Yeah. It's a decent link. Bradley. So this week's video was all about Italian Pilsners, which is a style that I think is... Well, we've done it. We did it because Tipo Pils, which is the original, has come to the UK for the first time in a long time. But it is already a pretty big style in America.
Yeah.
So, we sort of thought we'd get some Americans chatting, and we did. And that was great to see. I think maybe we underestimated how big it is in America, because there were lots of people saying, yeah, we know Italian Pilsner, whereas we kind of pitched the video as, bet you don't know about this. And yeah, lots of people knew. But hey, if you go for clickbait, you better not miss. So lesson learned. We were blown away by the beers, right? It's a great style.
Mate, the Tipo was an all-time beer, I think.
Oh, it's an amazing beer, yeah.
So good. And the others were like varied enough in the style to be very exciting also. I particularly like the sort of lemon lager topness of was it the duration, I believe, was it? Maybe it was.
I think it was the Burning Sky one. You
Could
thought was really
Sky.
lemonade-y. Yeah.
Love that shit.
Yeah, all three of them were really great beers and very different, but all within that style. It wasn't like when we did the cold IPA one, where they all seemed a bit different. We were left a little bit confused as to where cold IPA was supposed to land. This one, maybe because it is a 26-year-old style now, but it very much had a character to it that even with different hops, different breweries, different times that these recipes were conceived, you could tell they're all the same style.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and I just to sort of have a really crispy boy with that sort of bitterness was a bit of a revelation, I thought. Like we were discussing how they love. When I say they, sorry, the Italians love bitterness in their sort of alcoholic drinks, with Aperol, with Negronis, with all these sort of real bitter drinks, and I think they do go well with Italian food, right? Because it's kind of cuts through all the kind of richness of Italian fare. It's good. It all sort of pumps it up. I quite like the herbal kind of nature of them as well, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's almost more important than the bitterness, I think, for matching with Italian food, because they do a lot of stuff with fresh herbs, and having that echoed in the beer makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's absolutely banging.
Yeah, and we're gonna do a cycle tour. It's gonna happen. What were your favourite comments?
Okay, so I had one from Martin Cheevers, who said about this episode, a crisp, slightly sweet episode with a solid malty backbone. The crack about poor Brad's hat was a bit horse blanket. So you had a bit of a dig at people wearing their caps backwards in the 90s. And I'm in the...
No, I didn't have a dig at them doing it in the 90s.
Well, I think we were talking about... I know, you were having a sideways dig at me. But I thought we were talking about the 90s at that point, weren't we? We were talking about who was chopping the tarts.
Yeah, we were.
Z.
Yeah.
And you sort of made a wry comment. But yeah, I got a lot of support. People said not many people can rock a backwards hat, but Brad can.
Yeah, they did.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that was a lot. I do wear a backwards hat for all videos because our lighting setup in the Brudio is sometimes subpar. I don't want to be mean, but if I have the peak over my face, then I become in shadow, and you don't get to see my eyes, Johnny. So that's kind of
But what about your glorious hair, Bradley? We could see that.
Well, I was having a bad hair day. I'm having a bad hair time in general, I think. Now I'm 40, Johnny, I might have to dye my hair with, what's it called? Grecian 2000 or whatever, like the black stuff that makes your hair black again. I
think the grey is excellent. I just think, if you want to change, maybe let someone cut it other than yourself.
Well, no, I couldn't do that because, who wants to change a habit of a lifetime, Johnny? I've only had one haircut in my adult life that I've paid for. I went to, I think it was called Tommy Guns or something like that in Shoreditch when I was about 20, I want to say about 22. And I went in talking about too many beers and then making bad decisions, maybe riding a bike home or something. So I went to get this haircut because I was, gainfully employed, fresh out of art school. Thought I'd get, now I've got a bit of money in my pocket on my starter wage.
And they didn't have e-bikes back then.
No, they didn't have e-bikes, but they did have free beer in the sort of Nathan Barley hairdressers that I went to.
What was the beer?
I'm gonna say it was probably Beck's because at that point in time, Beck's and Rolling Rock seemed to sponsor every art event going.
Wow, yeah.
So I reckon it was Beck's with like an art label on it, and that probably appealed to me at the time. So I was like, oh yeah, free Beck's, I'll go there. I think I had 5 bottles, and I don't like, don't eat breakfast or whatever, so I was quite sozzled. And I, as quite often happens, wasn't happy with the haircut they were doing as they were doing it, but sort of went, oh yeah, that's great, I love it, yeah, that's great. But when you're getting drunker, you're more suggestible. So probably let a shit haircut fly. But on top of that, adding insult to injury, Johnny, they sold me a load of bloody hair products.
Oh no!
So
you never buy from the salon, Brad.
Right?
That's rule 101.
They sold me styling wax or something, Johnny. I had long hair, mate. You don't need styling wax with long hair. It was some sort of I don't know what it was, but I ended up spending about 50 quid, which, I mean, a lot of people go, so what? That's not a lot. But when you've cut your own hair for free since you were about 16,
it's a shock to the system.
It's a shock, mate. So, yeah, that I never went back to Tommy Guns or whatever it was called. But yeah, man, getting your hair cut your own hair. Do you cut your own hair?
My wife shaves me. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. You've got a short sort of cropped hair, so you can totally, get someone to cut your own hair for free. It's great.
Yeah,
I think it's liberating not to be.
But I'm not the one that's saying I'm having a bad hair year.
True. Well, it's more because I just feel like I'm getting old and grey. That's what it is, rather than.
I can imagine all the comments today from people. It will be embrace the grey. The grey is majestic.
Yeah. Well, that's what my girlfriend says. But yeah.
Yeah.
But you get like photos popping up saying, "Oh, this is a year ago today," or like we make videos all the time. Obviously, when I look back at a video from last year, beard wasn't grey. Now my beard's grey in a year. It's been such
You're speaking to a man that's watched his hairline recede by a centimetre every year since he was 14. So
no, man, you're rocking it. You're all right. You're rugged, handsome. It's I think mine must have gone back a little bit, but I don't feel like it's gone back. But in video, I'm like, oh, that looks like it's gone back. But it's very
you're
light.
Scraping it back with your hat.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
All you can see is forehead through the little.
Yeah. But
it's
also
what the name of that is on a cap.
An aperture. Maybe we'll call it an aperture.
Okay. Oh yeah. Domage, aperture.
Domage.
Monsieur.
Mon Dieu. Yeah. I loved those beers. Tipo beer was fantastic. I think everyone should buy a bottle of Tipo.
Yep.
At Christmas time. Very Christmas.
There you go. You heard it here. Did you find any other comments?
Oh yeah, I did. Hang on, I just need to crack open my phone. Okay. Daniel Davis said, I do like these simple beer style overviews with a classic Johnny and Brad dynamic. Brad, the beer loving layman, then in brackets, meant in the best possible way. Thank you, Daniel. I will take that in the best way. And Johnny, the all knowing beer guru. Less is more, I guess. I like that comment a lot. I think
Nice,
I think that was it. You know, when you edit these videos, Johnny, all the time, which is phenomenal, and you do such a bang up job. But you know, there are certain ones I watch back, and I'm like, we look like we're having the best time ever making this video, and this was one of them. I think we both were so caught up in the beers. You could tell that the vibes were like great, and there was electricity in the Brudio that day, mate. I think it was flowing. The beers were flowing. The energy was flowing, and it was a beautiful thing. So
yeah. I mean, it's not. I know it looks really simple, those videos, but they're not that easy. They A, take a lot of research, B, take a lot of editing, because we always end up with about at least double what we need, and I have to sort of cut that down. But also sometimes, yeah, you're right, there just isn't electricity, like we're not loving the beers, or my research hasn't quite been on point, so it feels like we're talking about the same things constantly. So we've canned 3 or 4 videos in the last couple of months where I've done the edit and then been like, that's just not, like, we aim for super informative and as entertaining as we can make it, and lots of times it falls short on both. But yeah, that one felt really good and cut down much easier than some of them. So yeah, I thought that was a great one, and hopefully the other 2 videos we shot that day will also be loaded with dry hopped electricity.
Boom. I love the like you say, it looks like a simple format, but it's a hell of a lot of research beforehand, and it's all about kind of just getting into the moment and really embracing that style for what it is, and celebrating
Yeah,
it.
even when we're not, like, there's been styles where we've done What Even Is where we're like, I don't really like this style, and we always say that, but it you have to give it a fair shot, and you have to be as open-minded as you possibly can, because, you know, the last thing you want to do is go like pastry sours are shit and just alienate a bunch of people who quite rightly really enjoy that style, even if it's not for you. So we have to suspend our cynicism sometimes. Speaking of which, I got a comment from David Ellis, who said, who knew? At what point does a craft tweak of an original become something new? Is that Italian Pils actually far enough away from the original to be called a new original? Brilliant, though. Brilliant, thought-provoking video, gents. And so that I'd sort of say, I mean, it's not a new style, it's 26 years old, but I'd sort of take the point, and I think particularly with things like Brute IPA, which was just the addition of amyloglucosidase, which just made it drier, and stuff like this. Like, they're not new styles. They've often existed, you know. Big Job, which is the double version of Proper Job from St Austell, uses that enzyme and has done for many, many years, and they just call it an IPA because it's just an IPA. It's just a really dry IPA. So sometimes it's marketing spiel, and we get a lot of people in on the comments just going, oh, it's just marketing. Like, all beer styles are just marketing. All of them are just trying to help you understand what you're about to drink. And I definitely think that Italian Pilsner is a very different thing. You know, none of the other 2 styles are dry hopped. None of them have IBUs that high, although, well, maybe some Czech beers would, like Pilsner Urquell is 38? I can't remember, it's 38 or 42. It was founded in 1842, and I think it's 38 IBU. So, you know, they do get quite high, but nothing like, or it doesn't present anything like that kind of dry hopped powderiness that the Italian Pilsners have. So this one is definitely a new style. Brute IPA is definitely not. Cold IPA probably is a new style, but it sucks. Just another quick comment I saw, which was from, oh God, sorry, I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Cranio Paolo? Clearly Italian, who says that my statement about how if you go into a craft brewery and ask for a Pilsner in Italy, it will be an Italian Pilsner. He says that's not completely true, because many craft breweries in Italy produce German-style Pilsners, more German-style Pilsners than Italian ones. Some craft beer pubs have Tipo Pils on tap every month, but many others prefer to have Italian interpretations of traditional styles. So I totally take that on board. When I said that, I was quoting 2 or 3 Italians in Mark Dredge's piece. So it probably depends on where you are in Italy, perhaps. Probably depends on whether you define Italian Pilsners as that different or whether they're named that in the bars that you're drinking in. So yeah, totally take it on board. It's probably not true of all breweries by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just interesting that there are a couple of Italian people saying that is perceived as the normal style and everything else has to be labelled differently.
Big time.
He also finishes with, I hugely prefer German Pils.
Fair dues.
And power to you. Right, that's all we've got time for this week. Just one last note about the live show. So next Friday, the 2nd of December, 8 p.m. we'll be going live. You can buy the pack. There's a link in the description to this podcast, and it'll be on social and in our Patreon forum. We will be announcing the winners, but it won't just be that. It will be, a classic live show for us. And we also have our Christmas live show booked in. We're having a meeting with the brewery on Monday just to confirm everything, so we'll give you all of the details then. But I believe you should start booking out the 22nd of December for that. It's a Thursday. So keep that free for now. It is a Thursday, but it's the Thursday before the last Friday.
Yeah. It's basically...
So you can afford to be a little bit...
Yeah, it's basically a Friday, isn't it? Christmas time, different rules at Christmas time, surely.
Exactly.
It's basically
exactly that. So yeah, keep that free, and we'll confirm that in next week's podcast, and obviously in our Patreon forum just before then. So yeah, that's it for this week. Huge thanks to all of our Patreons, all of our listeners, because you're part of that success that we've had this week. And whether it's literally giving us money, or whether it's watching views, whether it's watching the adverts, whether it's commenting and giving us ideas. What we achieved this week would not have been possible without you. So a huge thanks to everybody out there listening and watching our silly, increasingly not little YouTube channel.
Mate, I just want to say thank you to you for being bloody awesome, and being the sort of what was the comment, the backbone. I don't know. Someone said the backbone of that
the
video.
Multi-backbone.
The multi-backbone of the craft beer channel. You put in the hours, mate. You are the beer guru. I am the affable layman, and I think together
you're the heart, Brad, and I'm the head. And
beautiful. Look, man, I give you a hug over the airways. I love you, brother. And we've done absolutely amazing. We're nearly 10 years in, and I'm still loving this as much. I'm loving this more than when we started this thing, which is testament to how fucking brilliant this is. Still can't get over this. Is like a job. It's great, man. Thank you, everybody.
It's wild, yeah. And I hope I'm working on some plans to celebrate 10 years next year. So hopefully we'll have some announcements early next year about that. But yeah, love you too, Bradley. I'll see you when I see you. I'm not quite sure what our plans are, but we'll save that hug for then.
I see you on a train. 2 trains next week.
Oh yeah, train on Tuesday.
Peterborough. Ooh. And we're going
Peterborough.
to...
What are we doing in Peterborough,
Swindon. People? Ooh, who knows? 2 days, Johnny,
Peterborough
next
and
week.
Swindon next week. Jeez. Yeah. All the glamour. Yeah, that's what we got into this for. So two exciting things happening next week that I momentarily forgot about. So we'll hug it out then. And virtual hugs to everybody out there as well. Love and beer. The Bubble and Friday 5pm podcasts are brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's craft beer channel. You can watch over 400 mini documentaries at youtube.com/the craft beer channel. And if you love what we do, support us via Patreon and get access to merchandise and our amazing Discord forum, a positive and welcoming space for everyone who loves beer, food and homebrewing. Love and beer.